And poverty consciousness says,
shut the fuck up for just 1 second.
There is not enough. Money, money, money. It's like, what? I've been a single mom. I've been doing it alone. You can always make money. Can I do it? Should I do it? Is this the way to do it? And it fucking is like, sucks.
Sound healing. Like, what the hell is that? Holy shit. Holy shit.
Woo.
That.
Yes.
That.
Yes.
The world is filled with fluffy, ethereal podcasts about spiritual growth, transformation, and inspiration. Yeah, this isn't one of them. No, Find Your Flow is about what happens when life stops working. So let's get into it. No filters, no scripts, no curated sound bites, no fluff whatsoever, just flow. Well, I love starting an episode off basically in the middle. And that's what's happening today. Danielle Marggraf, thank you so much for being here with me. We were just having this like pre-recording conversation as I shared that I woke up a number of weeks ago to this realization that, well, fuck. Okay, there's your warning, listener. The cursing has started. But I literally woke up with this thought in my, not just in my mind, but in my heart, in my body of fuck, something's got to change here.
Yeah.
My relationship with money is unhealthy and it needs to change. And that started me on this journey. So I'm a newbie, I'm a baby. And Danielle, I mean, I'm just going to ask my question just simply to get it out of the way so that we can continue our conversation.
Sure.
But I also think that it's enlightening. Danielle, tell me, what does Find Your Flow mean to you?
Well, for me, there's a few other words that I would describe or characterize flow of how it feels in my body. One is being dually connected to my feminine source, spirit, God, goddess, right? Whatever that energy is, as well as equally being rooted and grounded, right, on the earth, being a total channel for both, right? Being able to listen to both parts, right? And so this idea of when I am in that complete channel place, I am in, it is a clear channel, it is clear flow. It is also in alignment for me. And alignment for me means I need to be having a lot of fun. I don't tolerate anything I don't tolerate anything anymore that is not in alignment for me, right? I need to do a lot of playing. I need to be in my business in a rhythm that feeds my soul. I really need to be able to, even when it comes to creating, because listen, I work in the body, I work in the nervous system, I work in the mind, I work with money. It's probably one of the most triggering topics on the planet, right? And so when I work with women who want to heal something around their money or their money patterns, what I know to be true is that when we are creating new habits or new mindset or new ways of reorganizing in our bodies to hold wealth, it doesn't feel like flow, actually, right? It doesn't feel like flow.
Right.
But, right, it's effortful until it becomes a new level of flow within us.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I think for me, there is these, right? I think flow is that in alignment? I think flow is, am I being a clear channel and in integrity to my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions, right? Am I being from this heart space of really being in connection versus being in protection, right? And am I, even if I'm in alignment, it can feel hard, but really that is, to me, I mean, that's flow, because that will bring me more, to do and have more of what I want and what I need to be doing in the world.
Okay. Holy cow. Well, it's reminding me of when, you go through these periods of time where everybody around you seems to be getting married or everybody around you seems to be having a child. Like everything happens in these chunks of time. And I remember, when everyone around us was getting married, eventually, like it trickled down to the last few people that we knew were getting married. And my sentiment in a card changed. It went from, I wish you joy and happiness and love all days of your lives, to, I wish you 100 years of joy and happiness and love, to, I wish you every experience that life has to offer. I
Oh, I
wish you
got chills.
tears, right? I wish you
Yes.
tears. I wish you arguments. I wish you joy. I wish you making up. I wish you
Mhm.
curiosity. I wish you excitement. I wish you love, of course. But a
Mm.
life well lived with meaning that you can learn from and expand and become a bigger, better version of yourself, which means getting out of your own comfort zone. She says here simultaneously, sweating and goosebumps all over, because money is one of those things
Mhm.
where our relationship with it changes, right? As it should. And in my lifetime, I have had money. I've had a lot of money. I've had a little bit of money. I've been dirt poor, living in a rat infested cockroach apartment, eating an apple, right? And a head of lettuce and making that stretch over 3 meals, to traveling the world and eating whatever the hell I want. And these living in extremes and everything in between. But the
Mhm.
living in the in between has very little appreciation.
Mhm.
Living in desperation brings up this panic.
Mhm.
Living in complete extravagance sort of breeds this entitlement and lack of appreciation, at least in my experience.
Mm.
So I think what I'm longing to learn
Mm.
is that appreciation and redefining what money is, who I am, because I know that that has everything to do with it.
Mhm.
And you had just said before we hit record, which is what made me say, why aren't we recording? You see money as a mirror,
Mhm. I
right?
do.
And a lot of people will say, money defines you. It will show you how much you're worth in the world. It will validate your worth to others, and and when people share money with you, it shows that they validate your worth.
Mm.
Okay. Um, s so that's the headspace that I was in around up until around 3 weeks ago, when I woke up and went, "Whew, nope, something completely radical is shifting here. What
Mhm.
the fuck is this?" And it started scaring the living daylights out of me.
Mm.
But it started to make me see my unhealthy entanglements with money.
Mhm.
So, yay. You are here, no small task. You are here to cure all of that. And
Yeah.
but no, into all seriousness, I can't be the only person on the planet
No.
who can have a panic attack every time the topic comes up, who avoids the topic like it's the
Mhm.
plague,
Mhm.
and who is longing to heal that and change it. So
Mhm.
can we dive into that together?
Let's do it.
Let's start with the panic. Why do people panic?
I think that ultimately money is survival. We need money on this planet to survive. If you get sick, you need money, right? You need
Yeah.
money for medicine. You need money for doctors. You need money for copays. You need money for support or help or nurses or, right? You need money just to die,
Yeah.
right? Think about
You
it.
need
If
money
someone dies,
after death, which is
right? That's it,
insanity, but it's
right?
true.
It's true. You need money for everything. Money is the resource that we use, right? To trade for the things that we need and want on this planet. And it has been so vilified because there is a underlying belief collectively that money is bad and is the root of all evil.
Oh, I mean, how many times has that been said?
Correct.
I was literally raised on that.
Yes, of
Like, if
course.
you dreamt for something, wished for something, my mother would say, "Well, all it takes is money. Good luck with that."
Exactly. You know what? I used to hear, like, "Must be nice." Someone would go on a
Yes!
great vacation or someone,
Oh,
right? It
that
would be
must
like,
be nice.
"Must be nice," to have that, to be able to have that. And
My
so
brace is paid for a, um, cruise around the world. That's what I was told.
yeah,
Like, not, "My braces made my smile beautiful," or "My braces boosted my confidence," right? No, my braces were an expense that paid for that person's vacation.
right. And so there's a guilt and a shame, right, around it that it's a trade. It was self-sacrifice.
Yes.
Right? There was self-sacrifice in order to get it. There's self-sacrifice, and there's something around you should be so grateful that they chose your teeth over something else,
Yes.
right? And it's these messages that I believe, uh, fuel this good girl conditioning that I think is so prevalent in the idea of, right? Be quiet and sit down and, children should be seen and not heard, and don't make people uncomfortable. Like, you need to tolerate discomfort and don't make people uncomfortable, and that there's this just general lack and poverty consciousness, right? And poverty consciousness says there is not enough.
Yes.
That's what it says, there's not enough.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if we are collectively plugged into the, the general malaise of there's not enough, our beliefs then become there's not enough, right? And so w- that whole teeth, right? The belief around the teeth, that was there before you even knew it was there, right? So in Embodied Millions, right, which is my book that will be out this month, but I go to that because I want to talk about there's this I'm not a scientist of epigenetics, but I will tell you I know enough that when you were in your mother, right? Like when you were inside your mother, whatever, and when your mother was in your grandmother, right? Because
Mm.
it's in the egg, right? It's 4 months
Yeah.
in utero. Whatever your grandmother's thoughts and beliefs were around money and abundance, was it already implanted and conditioned in your mother, which was then already conditioned and implanted in you. So when
Danielle.
you yeah.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
I know. I know.
Holy, my mind is we're minutes into this.
Yeah. It's a
When
lot.
my grandmother was pregnant with my mother,
Yes.
one, she was in a prison camp,
Yeah.
right? Talk about
Yeah.
poverty, scarcity, and the way they got in there, literally their bank accounts were wiped, all of their possessions seized,
Yeah.
everything was taken,
Yep.
and they're living in this you'll get the bare minimum to keep you alive,
Yeah.
and that's it. So those are the conditions my mother was conceived and then born into and raised in.
Yeah.
I have no idea what was going through my mom's mind when she was
Right.
pregnant with me,
Right.
because by that point, my older sister was born. Um, she was at least in a home, in stability, right? But if she was born with that panic, of course, then in utero, there's panic, right?
Of course. How am I gonna be able to do this? Or how am I gonna do it? Am I gonna be okay? Or
All of that, all of
all of
that.
it.
And
Yes.
then I was born premature.
Yes.
So all of that, oh my God, is she even going to live?
Yes.
Danielle.
Right.
Okay, please continue. This is
Okay.
going to be an extremely enlightening and vulnerable conversation.
Yeah.
Listeners, just know that right now. Go
I love
ahead.
Yeah, so what happens is right, so now you're born, and from 0, from the time you're born to
Mm,
about 7 or 8 years old, your subconscious is completely open, right? Like, meaning
sure.
you are an absorber, you're a sponge of everything, of the messages, of whatever's being said, of feelings, of emotions, of beliefs, of ideals, of conditioning, of whatever's happening in your household, your environment, right? You're just absorbing everything. And so
Oh my
when you
God.
turn to when 8 comes around, right? Your conscious mind kicks in, right? There's like sort of and the conscious mind is what creates your self-consciousness. It's kind of around the time where you're like, "Mom, I'm in the bathroom, get out.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
changing, I'm naked." You know what I mean? Where
Right.
before that, the week before, mom would come in or you guys would, right? And so, and so now you're the rest of your life, most people, what they're trying to do is use mindset to battle what is already in the subconscious, which lives in
Holy
the
shit.
body.
Yes.
But it lives in the
Yes.
body, and the mind lives in the body. The mind is not the brain. People think it's the brain. It's not the brain, right? It's every cell of your being is your mind. But we try to use this conscious, like cognitive
Yeah, I'm gonna
intellect.
think my way out of it. Yes.
I'm gonna figure it out. And it's what I was saying to you earlier, which is the women that I tend to draw in are these women who, if there's not a road, they will build the road, right? They will will themselves to manifest. They will will themselves into success. They will will money. They will will vacations. They will will the relationship, and they will call it manifesting. The thing is that you can never now take your foot off the gas.
Yeah, it's fucking exhausting.
Exhausting, exhausting. And so this then becomes a pathway, like a neural pathway. It becomes a
Mhm.
wiring. It becomes this way you're organized to survive. And if we want to change that, right? If we want to say, okay, there's got to be a better way, then we need to. So I don't believe I this is how I think of women in particular. I only work with women. I'm an advocate for women. I believe women are, just I think that women can heal and change the world. I really do.
I'm right
And
there with
so
you.
and
Yeah.
so this idea that, when I had prayed to God when I was at like my like low, low, low. And I said, if you show me how to make money, I will pass it on and show women how to make money. I won't tell you what to do with the money. I'm not the financial person that you want in your life because I'll tell you to go buy the thing that you're like loving, right? Don't ask me what to do with it, but I will teach you how to make it and create it in a way that's in alignment and flow to you and your
Yeah.
system, right? So you never have to rely on someone else. You never have to feel powerless to not being able to use your own life force and creation and ideas and wisdom and what I call your soul's medicine to make
Mhm.
your money, And so that is really the path that I sort of went on to get here, I guess.
My God. I uh, everything,
Yeah.
everything that you just said. It was so I had a very successful studio, and it was brilliant for many, many years, and I loved it, and one day I woke up and I heard it was time to close. So, and that's in meditation. I just
Mhm.
receive downloads all the time, and I said, "Okay." So I sat down with my husband and I told him what I was told, and he said, "Okay, let's figure out a way forward then." And planned out the next month of how to wind down a business and close my doors. And it was probably like a good month after that that I woke up and I felt so rested.
Mm.
I did not realize that I had been functioning for, 7, 8, 9 years in a state of pure exhaustion
Mhm.
because I loved what I was building. I loved working with clients. I absolutely loved every minute of it. And I was really good at it. And I was really fucking good at working hard.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I realized that holy shit, I was tired. I had no idea that I was tired. And
Yeah.
that kicked off the next like year and a half, 2 years of self discovery.
Mhm.
And I guess redefining who I am at this point in time in my life and what do I want moving forward. And that entailed selling the house, moving to a different city, spending time in that city, being called to move to another city. So now I live here. And that brings me to, a good 3 weeks ago where I suddenly woke up and it was one of those 3 o'clock in the morning wake ups where I was like, it has to be different. There has to be something different.
Mhm.
Different from working you know what it was? I'm just now remembering. I went through this several weeks of people like everywhere around me asking me, how are you going to monetize your podcast?
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh, I have absolutely not a clue." I gave it zero thought. I was called
Mhm.
to create this podcast, so I just started creating the podcast. I
Mhm.
did what I do best, which is just do.
Mhm.
Without a plan, I just jump in and start doing. And then I figure it out as I go along. And I woke up that morning and I went, there has to be something different because I love the ease and flow of what I'm doing and creating right now.
Mhm.
Monetizing it means I have to figure out a plan of
Mhm.
work and figure out, well, what am I going to charge and who am I going to charge and how much will I make? And then what do I do with that money? And what's this? Like all of this cascading questions started to happen. And I was like,
Yeah.
there has to be a better way because
Yeah.
that feels exhausting. The
Yeah.
making shit happen is exhausting. I'm over it. I'm done with it. But I'm also over the whole, well, I'll just sit here and wait passively and allow and receive because I
Totally.
kind of feel like that's bullshit too.
Uh-huh.
There has to be something in the middle
Uh-huh.
that is easy
Mhm.
and efficient
Mhm.
and joyful. I have to believe that that's possible. Tell me, please, please, I mean, don't lie to me, but sort of lie to me.
Right,
Am I
right, right.
right or am I wrong?
Well, here's what I can say, right? Here's what I can say. When we start asking all those questions, that's our thinking mind. That's sort of a tip
Okay.
off that we're not in our bodies. We're disconnected because we're trying to figure it out, right? And those might be really I know, it's like, "Oh," those and they can be really great questions, right? But what you wanna do is you're asking the questions to the same part of your mind, right? That conscious part of your that you're then trying to answer the questions by trying to figure it out,
Right.
which
The
will just
blind
keep
leading
you
the blind.
spinning in a mental hustle, right?
Yes.
And that's not fun for anybody. That's not fun, and that's not easy, and that's not, exciting, and nobody wants that. So what I would say is that you wanna start asking one question at a time into your body. You wanna ask the
Mm.
question and bring it inward, and you wanna start being able to be what I would call as, like, the middleman between your mind and your body, because your body is where all the answers are. Because your body itself is, like, so sensations
Mhm.
are, right? That's your body speaking, but it's speaking the voice of the soul. So when you ask these questions, can I do it? Should I do it? Is this the way to do it? Is this the next step? Can it be easy? What should I do next? How am I going to monetize? Right? That's very cerebral. But
Yes.
when we start to really feel into our body wisdom of and asking questions maybe as simple as, do I want to monetize this podcast? Does that take all the joy out of it for me? Is there someone I could hire that could support me in doing the parts that aren't fun, that I don't
Mhm.
want to be doing? Right? We start to ask different questions that what happens is opens up a whole nother road. So it's not just black or white. It opens up a third option of opportunity and possibility that we can't know or see when we are in survival, protection, disconnection, right? Which is what we're in when we're asking all those questions. Is it possible? Can it be easy? What am I going to do? How am I going
Right.
to do this? Right? Especially when it comes to money, right? We're like, how am I, right? Money, money, money. It's like, what? So it's like for me, you know, I find that I don't ask for anything to be easy just because I don't know that for at least for my life, easy is what I'm going for. But what I
Mhm.
am going for is to feel fulfilled and satisfied.
Yes.
Yeah. And so to me,
Yes.
fulfilled and satisfied means that the only place I can access that is when I am present and I am equally listening to what's showing up in terms of what the next step is, what the direction is, what I'm responding to, what I got to do, and listening to my body when I need to rest, not feeling guilty about resting, not feeling guilty about not doing the thing, because the doing the thing could be your meditation. It doesn't though mean that's the only thing we're doing to make the money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't believe it's one or the other. I believe it's both. That we need to, of course, we need to take action, but we need to take aligned action. If we're just taking action, you know, I want to, I'll say it like this. Have you ever been in the coaching industry? Okay. It's a fucking wild, wild west out there right now.
Oh, I mean, like
Okay.
100%.
It is the wild, wild west. It is crazy. I've been in it. January will be 16 years. Okay. And it is crazy. All right. It is more crazy now than it was during COVID era, and I,
Yeah.
I was like, right. Like I worked through COVID era fine. This is nuts. And I say that because I was talking to a colleague and I said she's going to help support me on an event that we're putting on in November. And I said, oh, well, tell me what's working right now. She goes, nobody knows what's working anymore, right? Like there's all these strategies of like what used to work and now nothing is working and this is working for this. Like nobody knows what's happening. And so it's sort of like, I think we're at a time where we get to plant our flag and decide how do we want to make our money? What do we want our relationship to be like with money? How are we going to show up where we are completely present, embodied, satisfied, fulfilled? And that doesn't mean lack of action. It just means that I am going to actually move from a different place within me than from this place of how am I going to monetize? What am I going to do? Right. And so I think it can feel really good And I think that there's a lot of distilling of, are people really in pure faith and surrender as much as they like to think they are?
Yeah.
When it
Oh,
comes to right, like source or God or,
yes.
where money actually comes from, right? Because I don't believe money comes from people. I believe it comes through people. I think it comes from source.
I don't think I've ever called a timeout in a conversation before, but time
Mhm,
out,
mhm.
that's that's what I mean about redefining.
Yeah.
Redefining money, and I've been so for a couple of years, I kept saying, "There's a new vibration of money that's coming. Like, there's an upgrade that's happening, and it's happening quickly, and it's happening soon." And for me, it was like we crossed over a threshold, within the last 6 months. It feels like we crossed this threshold into money just being completely different. And I kept focusing on how it was being used. Is it being used to control people? Is it being used to demean and to hoard and to disempower?
Mhm,
And it's switching over into money being used to empower, money
mhm,
being used for good, money being used to create
mhm,
beautiful, loving, supportive things. So n- for you to say that you believe that money does not come through people, that it actually is a divine resource, I'm just sort of like, shut the fuck up for just 1 second. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
holy shit. Can we
yeah,
please like print that out and plaster it everywhere?
yeah, yeah.
If
Well,
there's one takeaway, holy shit.
because here's the thing, once we understand that money doesn't come from people, it comes through people, because money's always an energy that's
That.
in motion. Money's always an energy that's in motion. But just like everything's in motion, I have this bottle of oil here, right? There's a vibration to this material
Yes.
thing, right? Where did I get all this stuff? The same place. It's the same place that everything comes from. Where does it all come from? Source. Source puts the idea, the download in someone's head. Someone goes, huh, I'm going to make this oil, this goddess rose oil. I'm going to package it. Oh, this is a great idea. Where did all those ideas come from? They came from thoughts. What are thoughts? They're energy. Where does energy come from? Source. Because we are source. Source lives within us. So money comes from the same place. Now, when we really start to understand that, embody it, imprint it within us, and our nervous systems are aligned to that new truth, right?
Yes.
Because that's the key. It's not just a
So
mindset.
that's my next.
Yes.
Let's get
What
there.
happens is now we don't rely on anyone for money. It doesn't mean we are not in soul contract, I believe, to work with people. I believe
Yeah,
I'm in
yeah.
soul contract to work with people. I believe they come, they find me, they're like, I want to come into your embodied woman community. I want to work with you privately. Like whatever the deal is, right? I'm going to buy your book. Right? I want to come to your
Mhm.
event, right? But I look at that not as a hierarchy of I got to get you because I need your money to pay my rent, right? It's oh, this is the exchange here of me being in total devotion and service to my calling. And here I am. And then I get to, right? And this is how we get to move together. And what happens when that money comes to me? Well, I might use that energy to take my kids to eat or go get an oil change but then now Jiffy Lube has it. And
Right.
now the
Right.
ShopRite has it. And then what do they do with it? They go and pay their employees. And then where does that money go? Right? Like it is always moving. It's always moving. But when we are white knuckling it or when we're constantly getting rid of it, either
Yeah.
way, right? It means that we can't hold it or we're gripping it because we're afraid we won't ever get it back. And then that channel that I talked about when we talked about flow is literally, I love the garden hose. I always
I
call it
was
like
just gonna say it's like a garden hose.
and
You
you're
just
pinched off. And
yeah,
and what happens when a garden hose is pinched off, right? Just drips, just
that's
drips.
right.
But when you're like, "Oh my gosh, where could it come from?" It could come from anywhere. Money can come from anywhere, anywhere. I have a really good story. I wanted $100,000 in one like lump sum.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to manifest $100,000. And it was a few years ago. And I'm not the best at getting my mail. I ignore it a lot of the time. I just don't go and get the mail. Okay. And so my kids were like, did we get the mail yet? And I'm like, I don't know. We got to go check the mail. It's one of those like earthly things that I don't bother with often. And so we go get the mail, and in the mail box is a letter. And the letter was from the president at the time, not current. It said, "We have forgiven you your full loan of your," because I have a master's degree. "We have
Yes.
forgiven your full college tuition loans of $120,000 in full." I thought it was a joke. I was like, "Is this real?" Right? Because as soon as we get what we want, we don't believe we could actually have what we
Right,
want,
right, right.
right? And I'm like, "Is this real?" And everyone I showed was like, "I don't know. I don't think this is real. You better be careful." It was real. My entire
Yeah.
college loan was forgiven. So, now I wasn't specific. I wasn't like green cash in the bank, you know what I mean?
Right,
But the
right, but
point
it's the
being is
same
that,
thing.
yes, when you put it out there and forget about it, it can come from anywhere. I mean, it came from the government. That's highly unlikely. But
It
when it's
really is.
God or source or spirit or what, right? Anything is possible.
My God. Okay. Okay. So I just want to I want to make a point to share what you had said before we hit record. And this is as much for the listener as it is for me because I think it's eye opening. And you said when money shows up as a teacher, you can't ignore it. You
Correct.
can't.
You
And I
cannot.
am right there with you. So if I'm understanding that statement correctly, because I woke up and was like, holy shit, like something has to change here. Something
Mhm.
is very different. Something has shifted. There's something about money, 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 money. People coming from every direction saying, how are you going to monetize this? Other people saying, can I book with you to talk about money? I mean, it's right around that time that
Mm,
you got booked.
mm,
And I started to notice this trend of the subject of money being,
mhm,
I mean, swirling around me like a freaking snow globe. It was
mhm,
every single little flake around me.
mhm.
Is that what you mean when you say when money shows up as a teacher?
So, it can mean a lot of things. I think that when money shows up as a teacher, right, it probably means in your real life, it feels like there's not enough. It feels like it's hard to get. It feels like you're dwindling out of your savings. It
Mm.
feels like you're switching sort of the funnel of how it's primarily was coming in originally, right? And so there's usually some sort of, I believe, fear or worry, right, around the stopping of this energy flow, right?
Yes.
And so
Okay.
you
Yes.
can't ignore it because it is detrimental to your survival to have it, to continue to be able to flow it, to pay your mortgage, to, pay your, your keep your lights on, to get your Wi-Fi, to pay your car payment, to get your gas, right? Like just basics. And depending on what kind of lifestyle you live, it could be even other things, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. What I think is that when that shows up as a teacher, when money shows up as a teacher, it's time to look at the emotional debt that we carry, which I believe is more detrimental to your money flow than financial debt, because you can always make
Define
money.
that.
So here's the right, you can always make money. I mean, there was a time, I've been in business for 16 years or almost 16 years in January. I've been a single mom. I've been doing it alone. I am self-made, right? My goal was to be a stay-at-home mom while I worked because I got divorced very young. My kids were babies. My son was still nursing, right? While I was trying to figure this all out, I'm an intelligent person, master's degree, like meaning well educated. Why was money so elusive for me? What was going on? I couldn't figure it out, right? Because I had trauma as a teenager, I did not want to put my kids in daycare because at the time, my fear, which I didn't really consciously know at the time, was running the programming, right? Everyone's heard that your subconscious is running 95% of your results,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
So I realized so I couldn't put them in daycare because they couldn't talk because they were still so little. I didn't have kids to put them in daycare, although everyone could do whatever they need to do. It wasn't my choice, right? It
Right.
wasn't my
Right.
choice. And so for me, again, with this whole trauma background, I realized I was operating from fear, shame, and unworthiness. And so money never stuck to me, whether I had a job, whether I was working for myself. And I was really trying to figure it all out. And I came to understand, right, is that I was carrying this constant emotional debt of shame, unworthiness, guilt, fear, worry, not feeling enough, not feeling deserving. And I remember looking at my kids one day in the middle of the divorce. I was like 800 miles away because my parents had moved and I had no one around me that could even be a support to me other than my parents at the time. And I was looking at my babies. They were on the floor, like playing, and they were like 1 and 2. She wasn't even 3 yet, I don't think. And I remember thinking, there is no way I can pass this down. What am I going to do? Like,
Yeah.
what am I going to do? And it was then that I realized that, there have been times in my career that I have been homeless, right? That was like the grand, crescendo of my, lower than low. But, and my kids were in elementary school, but I've been on food stamps 4 times. I've had 4 car repossessions, right? Like I really have felt what it feels like to have nothing and it
Mhm.
not make sense and it not make sense. And I know the only thing that was driving it, and I tried to fix it with manifesting. I tried to fix it with
Oh,
mindset,
yeah.
and it wasn't working, and I'm like, "What am I missing?" And what I came to really understand is that when we carry emotional debt, right? Debt that is these emotions stuck in the body, these beliefs about who we are stuck in the body, these traumas that get stuck in the system, right? That fight, flight, freeze, fawn,
Oh,
fright,
yeah.
that whole
Yeah, yeah.
thing. What happens is we cannot outwork, outrun, or out earn emotional debt that we carry. Woo!
That.
Yes.
That.
Yes.
I'm the queen of avoiding,
Yeah. Flight.
and I mean, I fight off,
Mhm.
um, fainting. I
Oh,
literally will myself to stay conscious, to stay alert, to just stay present.
so like a
So,
disassociation maybe even.
I mean, yes, if that
Could
shows up
be.
in the body as I mean, the queen of avoiding, like, faints to get out of things. Like, my family used to call me the fainting goat. "Oh, well, we can't discuss that in front of mom because she'll faint. We can't raise our voices too loud because she'll faint." It's like,
Yeah.
I'm the epitome of that, like, faint like, get me that fainting couch.
Yeah.
The
Well,
you know,
and it's
like
a strategy.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Because, when I recognized, "Wait a second, if I can feel that I'm fainting, I can feel to come out of it." Like, I can tell
Mm.
myself, "Just stay alert, stay here, stay present. It's not as
Yeah.
bad as you think it is."
Yeah.
But there is that compulsion of avoidance to run away from anything that feels like a threat.
Yeah. Well, of course,
And
but isn't that brilliant of your body? That's the
yes.
thing, and I don't think anyone needs to be fixed or right? We are organized for what we need to survive, period.
I'm telling you, it's only been in like the last maybe 5 days that I have been able to identify, wait a second, avoidance is a life skill. Avoidance is a survival skill. I'm not
100%.
getting eaten by a dinosaur, but my body certainly is like, you're going
Of
to get eaten by a
course.
dinosaur, so you need to get the fuck out of here.
100%.
Which brings me to the nervous system because this
Mhm.
is not shit that you can outthink.
No.
You will as an avoider, I will absolutely get myself out of a situation to be able to reduce stimulus so that I
Mhm.
can think clearly and, sort of just hide out until I can figure it out, until my
Mhm.
brain is clear enough to be able to see what is mine, what is somebody else's.
Mhm.
I don't want to inadvertently place blame where it doesn't belong.
Mhm.
So I need a timeout of from everything,
Mhm.
and that's what I do when I'm in avoidance. It's
Yeah.
as if I've just go like I'm just a little kid who's put herself in timeout so that I can
Yeah.
fucking think. Like
Yes. Right. I know, and
so
I think that's brilliant, and it's as brilliant as it is until it no longer works for you.
and that's where I'm at right now.
Yes, and
It's
now it's
a
about rewiring that and
rewiring,
reorganizing
yes,
for what it is you say you want instead of just to
because avoiding's
survive.
not gonna get me there.
No. Well,
Avoiding's
that
not gonna
got you
get me there.
here, and it won't get
Right.
you there. Yes,
It will
exactly.
not get me into the whole, I want this podcast to take off. I want to be able to have this creation serve millions around the world.
Yeah,
Well, a girl who's putting herself in timeout is not going to be able to show up in that capacity.
right,
She's
correct.
got to be able to make fucking decisions and have conversations and discuss
Yes.
money.
Yeah.
because the only way to serve that big is to have this continuous flow
Mhm.
of beautiful exchange.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
locking myself in a closet is not going to get me there.
No.
So that was that realization of something has to change. I just don't know how to do it. Um, but I do recognize that it is in every cell of my being. It is a
Mhm.
conversation that runs through the fascia that I'm not consciously having. This is programming.
Right.
How do I change it?
Oh, that's a big question. Do we have another hour? That is a big question. How? Well, I'll tell you. I think that, when I work with women with the nervous system, right? Where should we begin? I think the first thing is that we have to be with what is. Be
Mhm.
with what is, right? And that means that we have to be present with what is. We can't be in our conscious mind and in our subconscious at the same time. One of the things that I do is I help guide women into their subconscious, into that, and we look at the pairings, right? So, for instance, your worthiness might have been paired with money, right? Somewhere in your childhood, right? Right? Like if you didn't have money, you were unworthy, and if you had money, you were worthy, and if you had money, people liked you and wanted to be around you and wanted to hang out with you. But if you didn't have money, they'd be like, "What's wrong?" Right? Whatever that pairing is, okay?
For sure.
And the truth is that worth has nothing to do with money at all, at all. There's no correlation at all. And so what we'll do is we'll go in there and we'll get you to a place because we're all as humans, we require three things. We require safety, connection, and belonging. And when you feel safe, connected, and belong, you actually can rest, relax, your system can settle enough where we can go into this subconscious space. I can track patterns of what's wired together, and we can
Mm,
start introducing new wiring, hence rewiring.
got it.
Okay. Repair, not fix repair, but repairing, where we start to,
Ah!
yes, where we start to repair worth with other parts of your identity and your self image, which I know you mentioned earlier, right? Which we know our self image is our success mechanism, right?
Absolutely.
We're not going to
Absolutely.
out result what we believe and who we are. So, that's one way. So, how do we start doing that on our own? Well, we got to be with what is, which means we need to be present. We need to start with actually being in the body, because if we're in the body, we are closer to understanding how we're operating than when we're up here. And so, even I actually was just sharing this. It's a vagus nerve reset.
Mhm.
Stand with bare feet on the ground. Right? I mean, simple stuff you've probably already done before, right? Stand with feet on the ground. When you're standing with your feet on the ground, you're starting to feel into what parts of my feet are making contact with the floor. Is the right feeling different than the left? Uh,
Mhm.
am I feeling closer to my toes or back on my heels or the outside or the pads or the inside? Right? What's happening? Do I feel more weight and heaviness that I'm on one where I feel lighter, like the other one's barely like touching the ground? We're looking for temperature. We're looking, right? These are just some somatic tools that you could start using to start implementing. While you're doing all of that work in the feet, you are not in your head. You are not
Right.
in the head, right? So we start to be with what is. The problem is for most people, right? I actually did this with my group. They can't be with themselves longer than 3 minutes because they're not used to the capacity of being with themselves, right? They're used to cutting off from the neck and thinking. And oh, but you have to go feed the dog. What time is it? You got it.
Mhm.
Oh man, you should be doing this. You're in your feet. You should be contacting this client. You should be going network, right? Like whatever your stuff is, should. So it's about, we need to come back to the body if we want to really listen to the wisdom, because everyone's body has its own blueprint to translate. What your body is saying is not what my body is saying. As an example, my daughter, she's 17. She loves like these tickles.
Yeah.
I want to punch you in the face if you
Yes.
I like a hard, firm hug. I want to know you're there. I want touch that feels like, ugh,
Yeah.
And that is my nervous system. That is how I am organized,
Yeah.
right? And it gives me the feedback I need for safety. Oh, I'm safe. He's got me. She's got me, right? And
Yes.
so the language is very different. We can't say, "Oh, everyone is feeling contracted. That means X, Y, and Z." No, right? It's all different for each other. And so when we learn the translation of our own body's language, you have a wealth of wisdom right within you that you can actually transmute and alchemize into wealth outside of you. Because as within, so without. But this is
Yes.
like the
Yes.
deepest of wirings of it.
That is absolutely incredibly insightful. I think that people are, one, looking for a quick fix, and two,
100%. Yes.
looking for duplicity,
Mhm.
multiplicity. What works for
Mhm.
you works for me. And
Mhm.
I think that there's a lot of noise out there that says, this is the winning strategy, just do this and you'll get X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And then people are like, but that didn't work for me, which
Mhm.
then immediately, if it's
Mhm.
not told to the person, then the
Mhm.
person just tells themselves, well, there's must be something wrong with me that didn't work.
Uh-huh. Or you,
And if they're
right?
right, right,
Yeah.
right,
Meaning the other
there's this
person. It's either
there's
blaming
this
the other
blame,
person.
like
Yeah.
you have no idea what you're doing. You have no
Yeah.
idea, like, right? Um, or there's something wrong with me that I can't learn it.
Mm.
And maybe the one, oh, that really, I don't know, really pisses me off is, well, there's something you're doing wrong.
Yeah. Right.
Like when the coach, when the expert says, well, there's something that you're doing wrong. There's something that you're not putting
Yeah.
into place. There's something, right? Instead of saying the solution in and of itself is different for every single person because
Mm.
every single person is their own person. You
Yes.
have you have
Correct.
your own programming that you're running.
Correct.
So, but I love that you're able to expand it and take it up to this more universal level of take a look at your nervous system, take a
Mhm.
look at your somatic system.
Mhm.
How are these things working for you?
Mhm.
And I mean, the crux of my career, past and present, has been what works for you. Let's figure it out.
Mhm.
Let's work with your body because you're going to get a lot of knowledge just from your own being. And I get it that you feel like you're completely incapable, but I'm also going to tell you that you have everything you need.
Mhm.
When I was at my lowest point, I was laying on the floor and I had had a spinal injury and blah, 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 blah. But there I was on the floor begging, like, just like, let's just end this. Can we please, somebody, like, I don't know, but put an end to this.
Mhm.
And the voice that I heard said, you have all the answers you need. Everything you need is inside you. That
Mhm.
was such a huge, bold statement that I was like, I don't want to die.
Mhm.
Now I'm curious. I don't want to die. Okay, you tell me I've got all the answers. I'm going to need you to go a step farther and tell me maybe where to look
Mhm.
or what could that be? And then literally everything started coming. I mean, out of every pore. There was shit like the very first thing I heard was go listen to a sound healing. I'd never put those two words together in any kind of thought sentence in any way, shape, or form.
I
Sound
love
healing, like what the hell is that?
Yeah.
But lo and behold, I type in sound healing and Ramadasa comes up,
Yeah.
which is an ancient chant for your nervous system.
Mhm. Beautiful.
So if maybe we can universally,
Mhm.
humanity, stop seeing our nervous system as a reaction, number one,
Mhm.
as something negative, number
Mhm.
two, but more as knowledge that's just trying to come out, just trying to make its way to you
Mhm.
as sort of this, you get the flashing lights up on your dashboard that says check your engine. Could it
Yeah.
just be that? Could it just be a, hey, stop, pause, time out,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And listen, take a minute here, listen.
Mhm.
I remember a chiropractor telling me once, panic is not panic. It's just an excessive amount of energy with
Mhm.
nowhere to go. It's
Mhm.
literally just a pot boiling. You don't have a problem with water. You don't have a problem with the heat. You don't have a problem with the pot itself. You don't have a problem with it boiling.
Mhm.
What you have is an incapacity for that water to expand and to keep going because it's a finite pot. Like it
Mhm.
can only go so far.
Mhm.
But if you do shit, like maybe turn down the heat, pour it into it, like
Yeah.
you've got options.
Yes, exactly. But when you're in panic, you don't see those
You don't
options.
see any options.
Yeah, exactly.
Hence the 3 o'clock wake up call, which is usually what happens to me. If I'm
Yeah.
living at this level of hanging on white knuckle,
Yeah.
that panic mode, right? When
Yeah.
that becomes my default,
Yeah.
which from childhood, it is my default.
Mhm.
If I'm living in that capacity, then I can't think clearly.
Yeah.
And by think, I mean clear it and allow for things to come into my conscious understanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that what you do? Is that your expertise and is that how you are helping people like get their shit
Yeah.
cleared?
So I my expertise is really helping women rewire, reconnect, repair and reorganize their nervous systems and learn the difference between their soul voice, their body voice, their mind voice. So that way they can decide how they want to move. They can really be connected to what they're feeling and experiencing. And so they can actually create more from that. I had a client, usually when I work with someone privately, it's for a year. And she came in at about $6,500 a month. And she was coming in as a social media, like like she'd help you do your social media. And, but she also did human design. She was doing things through your
Mhm.
human design. And when we started working together, we look at all the things that are showing up for her, right? Like from the fear of the investment to the fear of what her
Sure.
husband was going to think to the fear of if she actually talked about what she really wanted to talk about, she was afraid her mom would reject her, right?
Oh my
Right.
god.
Yeah, there
Yes.
was so many things, and so we're not just talking about money, but we're talking about all these other things that are actually impacting the money because the money is the byproduct. The money is the result of all of this. So I track patterns is what I'm really good at, right? I track patterns and I start to go, "Oh, this is so interesting." And I take everything in, right? And you come as you are and nothing is wrong and we don't ever look at anything as wrong and we don't have to dig for the story. And sometimes stuff will come up where the client will be like, where did that even come from? Why did I even talk about that? And somehow it all lends itself to exactly what you need because we're listening now to the inner wisdom, to the body, to those what that voice is instead of constantly being in this voice. So long story short, she ended the year at $25,000 months. Okay. And she changed her business to be what she really wanted it to be. And when you change to do what you really want to be doing and you're in alignment to that and everything you're doing is what you love to be doing and you're no longer afraid of being rejected or criticized or judged, right? You can be open and fully self-expressed, not only in your voice, but in your true identity, in your power, in standing for what you believe in standing for what you're here to do, distilling your own medicine and creating wealth from your body's wisdom. I mean, that is what we're doing, right? And so
Oh,
the fact that that is like right and that's one of many stories, but that's the kind of thing that I do, and that's the kind of thing that works because you can't undo it. Once we rewire, it
yes.
cannot be undone, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's something really important to note because I think people do mindset work or manifestation work, and it feels like you get a little bit and then it goes back. And then you do create it a little bit and then it goes back. And yeah, and so that is the work. And so we work in emotions, we work in energetics, we work in frequency, we work in spirituality, we work in, right? We work in somatics, we work in the nervous system. That's where we work. And that's where the change happens. Listen, and it sounds great because we think 6,500 to 25,000, but she had a couple of months where she was actually making less than when she came to me, and that was during a period of time. And I actually was on I interviewed her, but on my podcast. But one of the things that came up was that she was like falling apart. Why was she falling apart? Because the old identity, the old
Yeah.
image, the old beliefs have to die as you're birthing this new part of you. And everyone can say that online and it sounds really sexy, but let me tell you, you're going through it and it fucking is like sucks. Okay?
It absolutely does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the scariest thing. I mean, I remember when I had my studio and making that choice to raise prices, right? To
Yeah.
break the norms of everybody around me and raise prices. Of course you lose some. Of course you do. You
Yes.
have to. You have to. And for me, thankfully, I have a husband who would continuously remind me, "That's really good. You lost another one? That is
I
fucking
love that.
fantastic. You just created
Oh,
space to be able to bring in somebody at this new price point." And
yeah.
lo and behold, they come. They do. They come because
Mhm.
I stepped into
Yeah.
owning that new, pricing standard or whatever, but
Yeah.
I stepped into who I was,
Mm.
and people will were drawn to that,
And that's expansion.
and that's expansion. Oh my god. Danielle, thank you so much for an amazing hour. We really could go for, like, hours and hours and hours. You mentioned a podcast. What is the name of that? Because I just assume that listeners will be able to get even more guidance from you.
Yeah, so my podcast is called Embodied Millions, same as the book, Embodied Millions. And, yeah, can listen wherever podcasts are you listen to your podcast, and you can buy the book anywhere you buy your books, in the middle October 21st. We have our pre-launch is right now at for 99 cents, and the book comes out October 21st, and you can get that anywhere, Amazon or Barnes& and Nobles or wherever you get your books. So, yeah.
This is so exciting, and your community is called Embodied Woman Community.
Yeah.
Where can people find that and join?
Yeah, it's probably either you could go to daniellemarggraf.com and you could just join right from my website, or you can come and follow me on Instagram, and I'm happy to just be in the DMs with you and connect with you and, see if it's a fit and give you more information, and, it's a high frequency container. All the women are creating wealth in the way that we're talking about today, and, it's beautiful, right? I think that's where women are moving towards, community and
Agreed.
connection, and so that's what it is. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Oh my god, I'll have all of that, listener, in the show notes for you so
Awesome.
that you
Thank
can
you.
just go and start clicking on everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for taking your time. Thank you for helping me. I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel much less panic. I really
Awesome.
do. The shoulders are calmer, the back of my neck is no longer prickly. I never pressed pause. I did not run and hide. I didn't avoid this conversation. So
Love it.
that's progress.
Awesome. That is awesome, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Okay, that's it, listener. Before you go, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and set your notifications to never miss an episode. If you'd like even more with me, come on over to nagarelife.com. And if you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, go on and share it. Share it with somebody that you think would enjoy it as well. All right, I'll see you next time.